Did you know you can sponsor your favorite podcast on the Spin Market Podcast Network? Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Stockdale, host of the Spin Market Report. In 2025, our podcast had over 26,000 streams, and our YouTube channels had over 1.4 million views. Whether you're promoting a product, service, or event, we'll help you reach the audience that matters. Get more information on how to sponsor a podcast at spinmarket.com. Spin Market, your business, your message, our platform.
It's the Spin Market Report. Here's your host, Peter Stockdale.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Full house today at the Spin Market Report. I had to pull back the camera a little bit, do the wide angle lens for everybody. But
want to make sure everybody is seen.
Absolutely. It's Marketing Monday, as usual, at Spin Market Report. And this week we are sitting down with Terry Johnston and Ben Smith. Terry over there, Ben over here for everybody watching online. So you guys work with Farm Rescue. This was something that was new to me. It was kind of introduced to me by I think it was Michael Musselman.
Michael Musselman,
yep.
Yes.
So that was something I went to you guys' website, sourced a few things. We said, let's bring these guys in here and ask them a couple questions. So Terry and Ben, it does not matter which one starts, but can you guys kind of introduce who you are? And look at that, we're already off to a great start. Introduce yourself and explain your roles with Farm Rescue, please.
Yeah, my name's Terry Johnston. I live over northeast Iowa. My role with Farm Rescue is development officer. So my job is to fundraise and help pay for all the operations costs and everything that we do. So
one of the fun things was when I Googled Farm Rescue, a lot of the things that came back were like articles written about fundraisers. So that was probably you involved in that.
Yeah, we're all involved, but that's my role.
That's cool.
And so been here 3 years now.
3 years. All right. Yeah. How about Ben? How about you?
Yeah, I've been here a little over 3 years, and Field Operations Manager is my title for our Southern Territory, which we kind of include everything south of I-90 these days. So that encompasses 7 states now, and work out of my home office here in central Iowa, but cover the other states and travel as needed. And part of my role is just making sure the work cases, we call them, every time we help a family, that project's called a case, making sure that's all set up and planned and executed properly according to the family's wishes and standards, and kind of oversee all aspects of that, making sure the work in the field happens as they want. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, what a big operation it has to be to try to organize all this. So for those that are unfamiliar, can you describe what Farm Rescue does, kind of just broad stroke it for us and give us the general gist of it?
Yeah, so Farm Rescue is a volunteer-based organization. We're a nonprofit, 501c3. And the idea is kind of based off of neighbor helping neighbor. That's how our founder saw this coming to into fruition 20 years ago, just over 20 years ago. And so what we want to do is help a family when they're going through a tough time. And that can mean a lot of things, but mainly it's a major illness or injury, natural disaster, something like that, where some outside force beyond their control has prohibited them or at least inhibited them from planting their crop, harvesting their crop, making hay, feeding their livestock, that sort of thing. Right. So we're set up with volunteers and equipment to physically come in and help them through that tough time.
Was there like one specific story that kind of kick-started this all for the founder then?
Well, there certainly was a first family, not the president and first lady, but the first family that we helped. That was back in the spring of 2006. But Bill Gross is our founder. We were talking about the 80s and the farm crisis earlier, and he was part of that, grew up on a farm and ranch there. And like a lot of us, he went off and got an education and a day job because there just wasn't the opportunity, especially at that time, to come back to the farm. So short of being able to help people financially, he's like, what else can we do? Like, when things are tough, and he kind of just came up with the idea of helping people at that time. So as the story goes, he took a week off of vacation and borrowed a planter and seeder, or a tractor and seeder, and helped our first family in the spring of 2006 put their crop in.
Wow.
And by the next year we had volunteers and equipment lined up from the local John Deere dealer, and it just kind of took off from there. I don't know. You'd have to ask him if he really envisioned that we would be here now 21 years later in 11 states, and we've helped 1,252 families. So it's just really, and of course that's thanks to the volunteers. They do the work. They're the heroes in this story.
Nice. Yeah. And then it always reminds me of, like, I grew up, I was born in the 80s, and I kind of got to see the very tail end of what would be like difficult farming, and that was, my dad was the same way. He had 2 jobs because you couldn't really sustain yourself on just the one. So I totally get where this comes from. Ben, can you walk me through, like, if somebody reaches out, what's the process like? What exactly goes on when somebody reaches out for help?
Yeah. In our home state of North Dakota, it's on pretty much autopilot. A lot of people refer families and go right to our website and fill out the application they need. In all of our other states, it's a little more of a sales process, normal sales process, where we get a lead or referral, where we hear about a family that suffered something, and then myself, I'll reach out and see if I can get their contact information, give them a call to let them know what farm rescue is, what we do. A lot of folks in these states haven't heard of us before, so it's not unusual, and still getting the word out, building the awareness. And I'll reach out and let them know what we can do and maybe offer. And a lot of times they still won't say yes on that first initial phone call. They'll have to think about it for a while. Maybe the wife or neighbor or friend has to encourage them a little bit to be willing to accept help. And I circle back in the sales process and follow up. And if they say yes, they're interested in learning more or meeting, the next good step is part of each case is an on-farm visit. So we'll get that scheduled. I'll go to their farm. I'll see exactly what their operation looks like, what they're dealing with, what they're facing, see what kind of equipment and resources they already have that we might be able to use as part of the case, and then talk with them about their fieldwork plan, how they want the work done, timeline, time window, different details like that, so we can have a plan in place that they've helped create and approve of, that I just have to go find the resources to execute when they tell us it's time to come help. So the family's very much still in charge of the management and the way the work gets done on their farm. We just help provide that physical labor and maybe extra equipment to make it happen for them that season.
I know Terry had mentioned a couple of the services you guys provide. Is it from planting to harvesting, or do you guys extend past that even? Yeah,
mostly planting and harvesting would encompass a lot of it, especially harvest down in this area. The planting window is so short with modern equipment anymore, 10 good days, it's all done, where harvest is more like 6 to 8 weeks. So it gives us an opportunity to find and help more families, typically in the fall, than we can in planting. Up north in the Dakotas, it's different. Seeding is 6 or 8 weeks with all the different crops up there. So they do about as many planting cases as they do harvest. But down here, we're more harvest focused, it seems like, for that reason. But we also do hay baling. So if somebody in the summertime season needs help getting a hay crop made, we can do that. Cattle feeding is the one livestock we can help with, because it's mostly machinery based and non-confinement still. So we don't have the bio safeguards we have to worry about there. And then commodity hauling. So our semi fleet that hauls grain for harvest, we also have some flatbed trailers we can haul hay and other things on. Like right now, wildfire disaster response for cattle ranchers in the south and west is a big deal for us. We've been hauling hay for going on 4 weeks now. Just finished up in Oklahoma and southern Kansas from that fire in February, and now we're starting to help in western Nebraska from the big fires they've had out there the last week or so. And so all those things are things we can help with.
I'm glad you mentioned cattle, because I actually did not have any questions about that on here. So that's something that I learned, and I tried to do my research. So what you had mentioned volunteers. What role do the volunteers play in this? You guys, Terry had also mentioned that they're very important. Are the volunteers semi-local to where the cases are, or do people come from all over the place to help out?
Yeah, so ideally we try to find the closest volunteer to the case that's got the right skill set and knowledge to implement the plan the family wants done. Doesn't always work out that way. We've got, I believe, a system software we use that we organize all the volunteers in. And I think we've got volunteers registered from 49 of the 50 states.
Whoa.
So people from all over the country that have an agriculture background or maybe retired farmers or have that machinery and farming knowledge that they want to share with others during a time of need are the ideal folks for us. Or maybe they've got the truck driving background and are really good at driving semi and want to do that for us. Those are kind of the two main people we use on the equipment operating side. And, they come for at least a week and help for a family for a week. And then we try to switch a new crew in to get more volunteers involved every season as possible. Sometimes folks will travel all the way from Florida to North Dakota to help, and sometimes we can hook them up within 2 hours of their home and then go home and sleep in their own bed every night. So all options are on the table when the time comes. Just depends on whose schedules match what we need and skill sets, and so the logistics planning piece is a very major thing of what we do.
So you had mentioned sometimes you have to go, present, go visit with the family, kind of present your case to them, see what they need, see what kind of, things you have. What are all the logistics to all this? But you said sometimes it takes a couple tries. Sometimes you got to go back and say, like, have you thought about this, et cetera. What is your thought about, like, what's the look on their face when they finally decide that, like, yes, this is the option. Yes, we're finally going to have help. Yes, this is doable.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing to see the emotional process they go through as well. Of course, farmers are very independent people. That's how they've built their operations a lot of times for generations. They've had to figure things out on their own to keep it going. That's been the only way. And so it's really foreign idea for them to kind of think of, if I get sick or injured, the work still has to be done on a timely fashion. I can't just take 2 weeks of vacation like maybe other professions, other jobs can do. The work has to be done when it needs to be done. And so if they're not available or able to do it as normal, that's where they've got to have a plan B. And if there's no other family members that can step in, a lot of times some neighbors will want to step in and help some too, and we can augment, supplement that so they don't have to feel like they have to do all the planning and everything. But yeah, these families are moved to tears sometimes once we get in the field and start actually helping and executing the plan, and they see the work is going to get done in a high quality fashion according to their standards with good equipment, good people that really just like helping. It's really amazing to see some of these stoic farmers get moved to tears sometimes because of the relief that they feel when it's getting done for them. And so that is just something we work through. So we're used to that. Again, we're not offended if somebody doesn't jump over our first offer, and we realize it takes some time to get them comfortable with the idea and the process of letting strangers come in, that they're not the neighbors. They don't know any of us from Adam, but they can look at our website and at least see our track record and history of professionalism, some of the videos we've made showing families we've helped, how the process has worked, getting those testimonials from those families. We rely on that heavily to help build trust. It's all about trust at the end of the day. And that's what's going to help us find more families. We know there's just as many families in our other 10 states that get sick and injured and need help every season as there are in North Dakota. We're just not hearing from a lot of them. So we know we're just scratching the surface, building that awareness. We'd eventually like to get a few more cases to keep our volunteers a little busier every season. So that's Terry and I's goal. That's what we've been working towards the last 3 to 4 years down here.
Nice.
Well, and everything that we do here with the Spin Market Report and through Spin is helping people tell their story. And, this is exactly what you're saying here. Is us helping you tell your story and being able to get it out to, because I did not know anything about farm rescue, and I live in the farming industry. So if I don't know, there's a lot of other people out there that don't either. Everything that I've seen in the past has been more of a local organization, as far as, okay, somebody has cancer, is sick, has had a heart attack, or whatever it may be, and somebody like just goes and
the neighbors,
the neighbors all get together and do that. I didn't realize that there was as organized of a company or a business as Farm Rescue out there until Michael talked about it.
Well, it makes you think, like, if you got 100 acres, maybe it's not so bad. But what if your neighbor's got 3,000 acres and you're spread out all over? Yeah, and the neighbors are the people with the small implements for the small, so like they could help, but it might not be enough. You might have to go outside to find somebody else. I want to say, like, I'm glad you mentioned the testimonial. So I have a question for both of you. Do you have a moment where you realize, like, this is important work, something that really kind of hit home for you? Maybe you've got like one specific story, or maybe like one specific kind of location, or a year where you said it hit harder this year and I'm glad we were around to help out. Was there any of those for you guys?
Well, I get this question all the time. What's the most impactful moment? Or that's a hard question to answer, actually, just because they're all important and it's life-changing for most all these people. And in many cases, after the fact, they're like, look, we just simply wouldn't have gotten it done if you guys hadn't stepped in and helped. A lot of these family farms that we help, they don't have extra, employees. Maybe it's dad or grandpa or the grandson that's sick or whatever. So they just, as Ben mentioned, they don't have a plan B. And as farms have gotten bigger and neighbors are farther apart, and they have a lot of their own stress and their own work to get done. So it's just becoming more important that we're here for these folks, because their livelihood depends on getting a crop in or out or taking care of their livestock, and not doing it, especially in these days with tight margins and high input costs. The risks are huge. The dollars are huge. And so, when you visit with one of these families after the fact, and as Ben says, relief is just one of those things where they're just so grateful that we were able to make it there. I can't point to one specific story, I don't think, but I can tell you, as Ben said, there's a lot of grown men that cry because they're so grateful to these volunteers that come in and do the work and help them.
Yeah, it's almost every case, to be honest with you, from the rancher that maybe gets one load of hay, donated hay hauled to him, to the guy we help plant 1,000 acres for a week or 10 days. Almost every one of them has their own way of saying thank you. They get to know the volunteers that are involved. A lot of those guys build lifelong friendships and relationships and stay in touch. And it's something that motivates me to get out of bed early in the morning when we're in the field and get out and visit these cases, or help a day or two myself when I can, to see that firsthand, because you see those relationships forming, you see the impact it's making for the family. And a lot of these farmers, they may not physically be able to bounce across the field in a tractor or pickup, but they'll be out there sitting on the field edge just watching us work during the day, or on their ATV watching us, because they want to be as close to it as they can be and be as involved as possible. And it's just great to see that and be able to come up beside them and help them get their work done during a time of need. And many of those folks are the first ones that want to pay it forward as soon as they get back on their feet by, they want to make a financial donation down the road, or they want to refer a family in need when they find one, or be the next volunteer, donate some hay. It's all just a big kind of a circular community and process that it's just amazing to see all these things fall in place the way they do to get it done every year. A lot of times we're left at the end of the season kind of amazed that a few miracles seem to happen along the way that just make it possible to get everything done the way it needs to happen. And it's just so rewarding to see that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you had mentioned, we had talked a tiny bit about the 80s. I mean, a lot of this was before we started recording, but are farmers still vulnerable today like they were back then? You had mentioned margins. I know the margins are tight. Sometimes we're talking deep six figures just to pull in five.
Yeah, I'd say the only thing that isn't the same is we're not paying 19% interest.
That's true.
Thankfully,
yes.
Because that would be probably the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back, I'm afraid. But I would say, there's just a lot of people that are very vulnerable. You have the aging farming population, and they're maybe doing a little better because maybe they don't have as much land debt, something like that, a little more working capital, so they can kind of slide through. But the younger farmers, that's not the case. And we have a lot of young farmers that just basically cash rent everything. So they don't have any equity to fall back on. So unless their banker's pretty forgiving, you show a loss 3 years in a row, that makes your banker cranky.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of vulnerable people out there that they just can't afford any mistakes. I would say we're same song, second verse, I'm afraid.
I like that analogy.
I think people are under just as much stress. This is just our generation's, our time's farm crisis. Like Terry mentioned, we don't have the huge high interest rates, but we've got a lot of volatility in a lot of other areas, whether it's inputs, less family members, less neighbors available in a community to help with things when time gets tough, because let's face it, a lot of our rural communities have really withered here the last few decades, and there's just not near as many farmers out in the countryside and people that do that. And plus, the social isolation, the stress of the finances, everything's so expensive from equipment to inputs. Yes, land prices have gone up, values have gone up, luckily, but like Terry said, if you don't have a lot of equity there, just the amount of dollars these guys are having to pass through every year to do what they do. I know I would have trouble sleeping at night if I knew I had that much hanging over my head financially every season to do that. So
yeah, it wasn't until I looked at like a farmer's, expense report. Basically, it's like, holy cow! I couldn't believe you're spending this much just to do farming. I mean, to feed the world, obviously, but implement costs was another one. I can't believe how much implements cost these days. It's not like they were cheap back then, but holy cow, you're spending $250,000 easy on some things, and it's like,
right,
you have to finance that out across a bunch of years, and then hope you can find the cash rent. And again, like you guys said, that balancing act is a tough one.
Well, and in the farming industry, most of your expenses are handed out months in advance before you ever see any revenue come in at all. You're doing your crop rent in March.
Yep.
And you're buying your fertilizer or whatever chemicals, anything, your seed, all of that. Seed is bought a year in advance, and they have to even plan out a year in advance what they're going to plant and where it's going to go. And one little thing goes wrong, it has a huge impact.
And nobody wants to be that generation that loses the farm or messes it up. Some of these farms are in the family for 5-6 generations. Yeah. And so they feel that pressure as well to be like, well, it's been tough in the past. Why should I be the one that mucks it up? Mm-hmm. And so they've got that pressure hanging over their head as well. And, some of that unfortunately has spilled into some mental stress issues and some increase in suicides that we've been helping with the last few years, unfortunately, because when it balls up and they don't feel like there's any help or any relief, it can turn tragic.
Well, we have a podcast coming out.
Yeah, before this one,
yes.
So go back and listen to it. But it's the one with Rural Minds.
Yes,
and
on there.
They had discussed a topic very, very similar to this. So, if this is hitting home for you, that's definitely your place to go, is to go back and listen to that when you're done with this episode.
Yes.
So what makes it harder for these rural families? Is it the, just to ask for the help? What makes it so difficult for... I mean, we all kind of know it's that whole, you live in the rural America, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Nobody's here to help out anyway, so you kind of got to do it yourself. But what makes it difficult for some of these people to actually, like, ask for the help?
Well, yeah, pride's the big one. They've been used to getting it done. No excuses, no exceptions. Every day. I mean, you just can't not do it, and so. I think that's part of it. Part of it is you can't pay a stranger back. Now, if the neighbor helps, they're like, okay, that's cool. Next year or down the road, I'm sure I'll get a chance to pay it back. It's hard to, I think, sometimes for them to get their mind around, it's okay to accept help from a stranger. We are neighbors. We're just neighbors from a little farther away.
Yeah, I like that.
But it's, we've even said, now, is your equipment going to have farm rescue on it? Because I really don't want the neighbors to see, your equipment in my field and them thinking less of me because I can't get the work done myself. Yeah. So there's a lot. I mean, people just don't think about it, but accepting help from strangers or at all is a tough concept for a lot of people.
I didn't even think about that, giving back, because like you said, if someone down the road helps you out, you can always kick something back to them the next year or something. But if it's somebody from South Dakota, maybe even volunteers, you don't know their names, until you meet them when they come out to your field to help. How do you know to help? How do you know how to give back to these people?
Yeah, Terry's right. We're both farm boys as well, and if we put ourselves in the family's shoes, I'm sure we would be just as kind of hesitant and maybe stubborn to think about accepting help. We've had some families say, well, what if my landlord sees that I have to have farm rescue come in and help me get my work done? Are they going to think less of me and maybe want to rent my ground to somebody else? We've had that issue. We can come in, use their equipment, sometimes is the best option, and no one really even knows that we're there doing it. So if we need to fly under the radar that way, there's always that option. But again, a lot of it just comes down to trust at the end of the day. They get one chance to do this right every year, to make the most of this farming opportunity. And it takes a lot of trust to just hand over the keys to strangers that maybe aren't from your neighborhood, maybe don't farm in the same state or use the same practices. Again, that's where I try to come in and have all the planning and stuff in place ahead of time so that they can be a little more assured that it's going to happen the way they want and when they want, and they've got some control over that. And again, it's building that trust component, I think, that is a big hurdle for more families signing up at the end of the day. Now in North Dakota, where we've been doing it for 21 years, we've got a billboard every 30 miles on the interstates up there. We probably hear from 3 different people about every farmer that suffers something up there. So we're getting most of the needs covered, I think. But all these other states, I think we've got a ways to go before we're at that point, and we're at that level, and we're just trying to figure out how to replicate that in our other 10 states.
So we had kind of discussed like what motivates you and putting yourself in the other people's shoes, the farmer's shoes who might not be able to, get his crop in or out or whatever is happening. What motivates the people that are volunteering to volunteer either their time or their equipment, et cetera? And maybe a follow-up question. Let's say somebody's listening and they want to volunteer. How do they go about doing that?
Yeah. I think the volunteers share a lot of the same experience that Terry and I do. They see the same things, the same emotion, except for they're there for every day for a week to see it, where we may only be there for a few hours or a day ourselves. I think that's what motivates them to come back. They have to pay their own travel expense to get to where they're reporting for duty. So for some of them, that could be a plane tickets and other things. But they're all passionate about wanting to come back and do it again the next year because of the great rewarding feeling they get seeing the impact it makes for these families, staying in touch with them, seeing how the crop turned out, the difference it made, meeting the other volunteers from all around the country. A lot of these folks are all strangers coming together and serving on the team, and they get to know each other, build those relationships. The thank you notes we get from a lot of the families will write us a hand thank you or stay in touch after the fact and share their thanks that way that we share with the volunteers. It's just a rewarding experience. It can be long. It's farming. It's long days. It's dirty work. It's not easy by any means, but they think it's worthwhile, a worthy thing, and we're so blessed to have them. And we're always looking for new skilled operators and volunteers. So if they have those skills and background and want to dedicate at least a week a year to helping us, they can sign up anytime at our website, farmrescue.org. They can click the volunteer tab and you put in your background information, your skill level rating with each piece of equipment, kind of some availability windows on when you might be able to come for at least a week. Then we'll call up, follow up and do a phone interview with those qualified candidates and learn a little more about what they would like to do and tell them how the process works. And then we get them in our system and they get the opportunity to pick a week a year during the seasons to volunteer. And it doesn't always work out to where a case or a family signs up during that week. It's not always a match every year, but we do our best to get people involved as much as possible.
Yeah, we don't have many one and dones. At least the 3 years I've been here, they want to come back. In fact, I've been at farm shows and I'll have somebody walk up and introduce themselves, say, I'm a volunteer with Farm Rescue. You guys haven't called me for a while.
Oh, wow.
I would.
Doesn't that make you feel good?
Yeah. Is there any way you can get my name up to the top of the list? I'm like, well, Ben's your man. And Ben does a great job of making sure that we work as many volunteers in. Sometimes it's voluntary, involuntary. As farming goes, the weather has a big impact, and we'll be working somewhere in 3 days in a 10-day planting and have a week-long rain. So Ben has to send all those volunteers home and find a whole new batch to come in. And I think we helped 65 or 68 families last year. And I would say
somewhere between there 66 or 7, I think, is what we helped last year.
Wow.
And from my point of view, being a farm kid and sitting back and watch this, I'm like, that's 65 miracles, because you think about just getting one crop in or out.
The logistics are.
And Ben and Luke are doing this repeatedly through multiple situations and locations and states. And I think I was talking to Ben, I think one time last fall, and I said, what's going on, Ben? Oh, no, not much. I think there's about 5 combines running right now this week.
Wow.
I think everything got harvested in about 3 weeks last year, it seemed like. So the work that these volunteers do and are willing to do, it blows our mind. I mean, they're chomping at the bit. They're ready to go, and they'll come back. I mean, they love it. They love it.
One of the things I was kind of curious about was, we had mentioned livestock. You do a little bit of work with cattle, but are there other things that I don't know about Farm Rescue? Are there future plans you guys have? Are you planning on expanding into different avenues in any capacity?
Yeah, well, yeah, Ben and I have huge dreams for Farm Rescue. Some of them might be a little out there, but as Ben has stressed multiple times, we want to help more families in the 11 states we're in. That's our number one goal. But we would like to expand further into more states. I think it would be cool if we could get into more crops, different types of crops, and that gets us a little farther outside the Midwest. Whether it's cotton or rice or vegetables, fruit, nuts. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. I wish we could help dairy producers. There's a huge need for that. And again, not everybody has 10 staff members and a robot and a carousel and all the cool technology that's in the dairies. There's a small family 400 cow dairy not far from me, so those are the different types of things we would love, I think, to do eventually. Is help more people, but also be able to expand our services and our geography.
Yeah, you see the need out there all the time on social media. Of course, a lot of people share things with us on social media every day of needs that come up, and some of them aren't we don't have a great solution for some of those right now. But I think the goal would be any family that makes their living from agriculture, we would like to have some services and relief available to them. And that might be a great opportunity for some of our volunteers that may not be the most tech savvy and up to date on the modern equipment. Getting the GPS monitor set up and working right is usually the biggest part of operating farm machinery these days.
Yep.
If that's not your forte, but you know how to grow vegetables or harvest things, do some manual labor like that, I don't see any reason why maybe we couldn't get into that someday. On the livestock side, it kind of comes down to work comp insurance and coverage. We have to make sure our volunteers are protected if they would get injured while they're helping us. And those insurers a lot of times say you can be feeding the animals with machinery and stuff, but we really don't cover you getting hands-on with milking or helping with calving or farrowing or vaccinating or some of those hands-on livestock things. So that's prevented us a little bit. That and the biosecurity has prevented us a little bit from getting more hands-on with the other types of livestock. But again, we're always trying to look for new ways to get more people volunteer, because we do have more volunteers that want to help right now than we have cases and projects for them to do every year. And so we would like to get that matched up, and we think the financial donations will follow. As more families sign up, people will see more need locally, and they'll be hopefully ringing Terry's phone off the hook to donate.
Yes, we'll flash his phone number. No, I'm just kidding. Ben, what are some of the biggest challenges you guys face? We've kind of gone over a few of them, but as an organization, what are the biggest hurdles? Is it finding a place for every volunteer to go? Is that probably the biggest thing you have, or is it organizing this? Because the more I think about this, the magnitude of this across multiple states, like you said, sometimes you got 4 or 5 combines running at once, and they might be in different states running at the same time. What's the biggest challenge to all this for you?
Yeah, exactly. You hit a lot of them there. Logistically, on the field operations side, myself and the other northern operations manager, yeah, I know last fall I had maybe 7 harvest cases going at one time any given week in the fall among multiple states, and I can't be at all of them at the same time to be watching them. So luckily we have some experienced volunteers that have been there a long time that can kind of be that local team lead, daily manager on those and call me with questions. But I think some of the main barriers to scaling this and helping more families are, I think we've got a pretty good base of volunteers now, more than we can use, like I mentioned earlier. I think it's building that trust and awareness. So again, we would like to get to a point where we're a household name in every community. Something bad happens to a farm family, the first thing they think about is, geez, I should let Farm Rescue know about this, or let them know about Farm Rescue. Still let us know, even if you tell the people and give them our information, because, it's hard to make that call yourself. I would rather reach out to them and ask if we could help them versus waiting for them to call, ask for help themselves. It's just one more barrier that they would have to jump over. So let it refer families to us. And, finding, we're a pretty small paid staff that tries to pull all this together in the background every week. And so finding qualified people as we expand states to fill some more full-time roles for us, I think, is always a challenge going forward. You have to have that. Obviously, as a nonprofit, you're not going to get rich doing this for a living, so you have to have that passion to want to help families during a time of need and be willing to travel at a moment's notice to make it happen and all those things. And so finding qualified people to build the team, I think, is always a challenge. And, of course, cost and expense. We still have to buy and invest in machinery. We don't get it for free. We are blessed to get some discounts on purchases and rentals through our relationship with John Deere and some other folks, but it's not free. And so we've seen our costs go up, 50% probably since 2020, like farmers have. And so we're trying to navigate that all the time, just like the farmers do as well.
Yeah. I mean, it only makes sense that you guys have input costs too. I mean, just like everybody else does. I'm just keep thinking, is there anything else that I'm not aware of about the work you guys do? Is there something that people don't understand about the magnitude of this? If someone's listening and they're not a farmer, I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot of it already, but I still just think, like, from an outsider's perspective, it's like, well, somebody else planted it and they harvested it last year. Why did somebody else do it this year? Even if somebody has to help, et cetera. But I mean, is it the logistics? Do you think that's the magnitude of all this that people might just not be grasping?
Terry could probably be a good time to talk about our economic impact study, maybe.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, that's something I think even ourselves we didn't really think about. We realize the impact on the family because they tell us, and if you go to our office and go through our mail pile, there's a stack of letters frequently that come from families we've helped, and generally there's a check enclosed.
Oh, wow.
We had an economic impact study completed by a special group of people that they're economists. That's what they do. And they did things we didn't even think about, but so what they did was they reached out to the volunteers and found out how much they spend to get there themselves, whether they're buying a plane ticket or fuel and their mileage. And then they calculated the cost, as we discussed a little bit ago, of what Farm Rescue spends on equipment and fuel and service and parts. And then, of course, we buy meals and hotel rooms in that community, and then consider the value of the crop and what that means to the family. And so basically when they took one of our harvest cases that we did in central Iowa here a couple of years ago and just considered all those things, okay, added it all up. And what it boiled down to was for every dollar Farm Rescue invested in helping a family, it came back tenfold. So in value to the community and to the farm family, it's around $10. And as Ben mentioned, these rural communities are kind of waning, with population or whatever. But if we can keep a family in business in that community, right? They're going to the church, their kids are in the school, they're buying groceries at the grocery store, parts at the dealership, fuel from Casey's, whatever it is. And so in that particular year, I think we had spent around $2.9 million on helping families. So that turned into $30 million back. It was I think maybe 102 cases that year, 102 families. And that's exponential, right? That's one family, one season, one impact. But you think about 1,252 families over the last 21 years times 10. Those start to be very real numbers. And we didn't really think about the whole impact. Yes, we get the family through the hump. We know it's a big deal to them. Our families are both still involved in family farming operations. We know what it takes to get it to the next generation. My family's been here since the Mayflower.
Wow.
So keeping that going is really important to us and to the family at the time. But the big picture is what's really cool.
I'm so glad you said that, the broad economic impact, because I mean we do a little bit here with some of the other people that are local to us that do study these kind of things and kind of wager these things to do stuff in the community. I don't know why I didn't think of that. You're spending the gas, you're buying something from a local deli or something like that. Hotels, et cetera, that all impacts and trickles down right into the community. So the dollar that would be lost from not harvesting something or not planting something reversed to how much you're actually inputting into the community. That is such a wide berth. It goes from something that could be a very big negative to something that becomes a very big positive for people.
Yeah, and let's be honest, a lot of these families, if they weren't staying in the area farming, they would probably have to leave the community to find work in another field. So keeping their farm operation going is really vital to some of those rural communities at this time. And another follow-up we did is we wanted to know, well, of these families we help, how many are still farming, how many have recovered and are still farming 3 years later? So when we did some follow-up and looked into that, I think we've found over 97% of the families we've helped are still farming 3 years after that. And so we know it made an impact and helped them keep going.
So think about that, taking those 97% and taking what they have contributed over those 3 years since, or whatever it is, and how much that expands your economic helping out in the community to the farmer across it isn't just that one time is what I'm trying to get across. It's not just that one time you harvested or that one time you planted. It's how things were kept going for the years afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And keeping the families in the communities, truth be told, if one family exits a community, the land's still going to get farmed, right? But again, as Ben said, those people are gone. They're not there supporting the community, living in it, going to church, going to school, supporting the local businesses. One person doesn't make up for 5 people. When you lose families, so it's vitally important to us that we're supporting family farms and ranches. We're keeping them there, keeping them in the community, keeping them in business, keep the legacy continuing, and keep rural America vital would be probably our end motivation.
What does being part of Farm Rescue mean to you guys personally? What has it taught you? And what keeps you motivated to stay in this line of work? This isn't easy work. You guys are doing a lot of work just to help other people, survive another year, in all honesty. So what's something you've learned from this, or what has it taught you, or what's your motivation?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned earlier, it takes kind of a special person to want to join our team, full-time team member, and do this every day. You kind of have to have that farming background and passion in your blood, which Terry and I both do, growing up on family farms, and having this as part of our lives, our whole life. I'm going on the 4th weekend now, working some part of each weekend to keep a hay hauling semi going. And so when the need's there, you get up to do it, and you look forward to helping these families. And then when things are slower and there's no families to help, when the snow's flying, you get a little bit of a break. So it's very much on demand and as needed. But just, again, you get to talk to the families, see the impact it's making for them, and the volunteers that are helping, meeting the people from all over that we've gotten to meet that are involved with this on the donor level, the volunteer level, and the family level, and everything in between. It's just the most rewarding job I've ever had in my career. And so hands down, you can see the impact your work's doing at a personal and emotional level for folks, not just a financial level, but at their core, helping them as a person during some of their most vulnerable times. And that's knowing that I can be a part of that and have some impact on that gets me jumping right out of bed to do it the next day.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about you, Terry?
Well, this is just like your previous questions about, what the most impactful thing you've seen. I have so many reasons that I want to do this mission. It's not a job, but one would be I spent my entire career in agriculture working with farmers and farm families and trying to help them get better at what they do. In most cases, I was selling something, of course. But now I get to do that, and it's free. I don't have to ask them for a check at whatever at the end of what we help them with. They don't have to pay us back, and that's huge for me to be able to give back to the farm community. We've already talked the fact that we're farm kids, and we totally get what's going on, in the agricultural world, in the farming world, and so the self-satisfaction of that is amazing. But if you flip on our local news or world news, which I don't do anymore, there isn't much good, and they don't tell you about good things. But you spend a few days in farm rescue, you realize there's still a lot of really awesome people in this world, and they're trying to make it better. And we get to work with those people, and they do it for free, which is amazing that they're willing to do that. So that's another thing is, I can tell you, if you ever get a chance to meet one of our volunteers, these people blow you away. I mean, they are selfless, empathetic, passionate, compassionate. I mean, this isn't Habitat for Humanity. We're not showing up and everybody's in a great mood and we're building up a wonderful home for a very deserving family. We're showing up at their very worst hour. Mm-hmm. And so these folks are doing what they do really well, but in the worst situation. Okay. Mm-hmm. That blows me away. Yeah. And it makes me really glad to be part of it.
And both you guys had mentioned, the people that are helping, the people that donate their time, donate their money, the people that volunteer themselves, their implements. You even mentioned, raising awareness at one point in time in this podcast. So if any of this is hitting home to anybody, I have got the links down below. Just go to farmrescue.org, click around, find whatever tab you need to, and either make a donation or volunteer or send the website to somebody that might be in need is another good way. Sometimes just reaching out saying, hey, I saw this and it might help. That's something that can really help out.
Yeah. Well, I would say this. I'd be remiss, since I'm the fundraising person, not to say this, but go to our website and see the list of companies and organizations that give to Farm Rescue and support them. Mm-hmm. Because I am still so amazed, whether you're talking about a very small mom and pop business that support us or major corporations. These folks aren't doing it for the tax write-off. Okay, they all struggle too. Some years their business isn't that great, but we have many of them that have been with us from the very beginning. Over 20 years, they've been supporting Farm Rescue financially, and it's unbelievable to me. The lengths they go, and it isn't just writing us a check and go, I hope you guys have a good season. They're matching their employee hours, for example, and donating the salary of that employee to us. Give the employee the time off and then pay Farm Rescue double that because their employee helped us. It's part of their entire core, if you will, belief of the company. So their employees all know about Farm Rescue. We have seed companies, their dealers at dealer nights will do fundraisers for Farm Rescue, and they'll send us $500 or whatever. So it's completely through the culture of many of these companies that support us. It isn't just sending us a corporate check or a donation and bragging about it publicly. In fact, a lot of them don't ask for anything in return, and they're like, "Now don't put us on the billboard or we don't need our sticker on your pickup. We just want to help family farms." And so that's really cool. So the people that support Farm Rescue are as amazing as our volunteers.
I love that. I worked for a big corporation at one point in time, and they paid you to go volunteer. Had I known about this, I would have volunteered for you guys just to go kick some rocks around a field or something. I'm not necessarily a farmer myself, but I'm sure I could lift a couple things and move them around if need be. I only have a couple questions left for you. What's one thing, if the listener only listens to this segment, what's one thing you want them to walk away with today?
I'd say that Farm Rescue is here. We're ready to help. If you're not sure if a family might qualify for assistance, don't hesitate to let us know about them. Again, you can refer them through our website, farmrescue.org, 24/7. You can remain anonymous even if you want to, if you don't want them to know who told us about them. And we will follow up to ask them if there's anything we can do to help. Sometimes they might say no, but more often than not, they do end up saying yes eventually. And I've never had any family tell us they were sorry that they had us come help at the end of the day after we were finished with our work. So we can make an impact. We've got extra resources typically at the end of the year that we could have helped more families with if we could have just found them. So
I love that.
Great story.
How about you?
Yeah, well, Ben took mine, of course.
Oh, of course he did. Yeah.
it's an advantage of going first.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so if I can't use that one, I would say help us spread the word. Okay, so follow us on social media. We've got Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Share our information, share our story, tell other people about Farm Rescue because probably the number one reason we don't help more families is awareness, for sure. Number two is they're too proud to ask or shy. But number one is awareness. So anything anybody can do to help people hear about Farm Rescue, know about Farm Rescue, we would really appreciate it.
All right. I'm going to have all the links down below for that.
Yes.
So if anybody's looking for anything Farm Rescue, just scroll into the description section, click on all the links, click follow, subscribe, like, share, all the good stuff.
Let's make sure that we get this message out to everybody out there. And thank you so much for everything that you do.
Yes. I do have one question I ask everyone. I'm not sure if this is super applicable to exactly what you do. Maybe
Well,
it is.
he said we needed to tell the story.
Need to tell people.
Okay.
So, how has marketing impacted your guys' life? Maybe not necessarily with Farm Rescue, or maybe with Farm Rescue. This could be you drove past a billboard, and then the next thing you know, you're at a drive-through getting a Big Mac. It could be anything. But how about you guys?
Well, marketing in a sense is why I'm at Farm Rescue. So I was working at a large farm just east of here as assistant manager for many years, and happy in that, and happened to see Farm Rescue on Facebook one day. Thought, wow, that's a really cool nonprofit and mission, and kind of followed them there. And like, I'd like to go volunteer and run equipment sometime. Well, my schedule never matched, of course, in the fall and spring to get away. And then all of a sudden they had this job posted. They wanted somebody from Iowa or the Midwest Corn Belt states to be a field operations manager. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, this is kind of a unique match, unique opportunity to use my farming knowledge and skills and my passion for helping and serving others, like I've been doing, on the volunteer fire department for 17 years in my community, do that for a job every day, a living. And so the more I looked into it, the more it seemed like a great fit. And so I don't credit Facebook for a lot of good things, but I have to credit them for that one. So.
Well, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Love it. How about you?
Well, of course, Ben always gets to go first. And I probably shouldn't use Farm Rescue as an example because my wife tells me frequently, Terry, the world does not revolve around Farm Rescue, regardless of how stubborn you are about it. But the aha moment for me with Farm Rescue was, so I'm a John Deere nut. We have John Deere equipment on our farm, and I collect John Deere equipment. And I don't know if you guys have seen the farm can that Anheuser-Busch puts out.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a fundraiser for Farm Rescue. A lot of people don't know that. They don't put the two together. But John Deere and Busch Light teamed up a few years ago, and so there was John Deere on a Busch Light can, and so I'm like, okay, that's cool.
That's cool.
And so that was my first aha moment with Farm Rescue was the John Deere for the farmer campaign, but it was the John Deere Busch Light connection that turned the light bulb on for me.
Well, they need crops to make what they're doing.
That's right.
Boom. It's again, these connections I just didn't quite think of when I was thinking about this, writing all these questions. This has been great. Again, I'm just going to say down below in the description section, all the links. Ben and Terry, thank you guys for joining us. I really do appreciate it.
I have one more thing. We need to pull out here our mascot, Buster the Bulldog. As you can see, he's official. And we're bulldogs for getting our podcast and our interviewees known out there in the digital world. And so we just like to give you a little good luck. And if you just want to rub Buster's head just a little bit, we'll send some good luck to Farm Rescue.
Oh, love it.
Thanks a lot, Buster. Good boy. Good boy.
Thanks, good boy. Good boy.
This has been amazing. Thank you guys very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate you helping us.
It's been our pleasure.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.